the Clark Kent of V8 supercars. Normally, a mild-mannered Mr. Polite. Give him the keys to a 600 horsepower Shell Ford, and he's tougher than kryptonite.
Oh, gosh, Paul Radisich up the inside. Agnostic. He's a very forceful driver.
Paul Radisich, a man on a V8 mission. The 38-year-old Kiwi international has quickly earned a reputation for hard driving. Sandown, 2 weeks ago, his first Shell Series podium, the result of controlled aggression, shadowing the untouchable HRT Commodores of Scaife and Lowndes as they destroyed the competition.
We're back to the Mobil 1 Holden Racing Team domination. Scaife takes race 1 ahead of Craig Lowndes.
Can anyone jam a stick through the spokes of the runaway Mobil machine? Today could provide an intriguing twist as Network 10 welcomes you for the first time to Queensland Raceway, the Sunshine State's brand new supercar super track. 3.1 kilometres of freshly laid bitumen, about to feel the full force of Aussie V8 thunder. This is round 7 of the Shell Championship Series, exclusive to your home of V8 Motorsport, Network 10.
8.5 months of round-the-clock work and $6 million later, this is what you see before you, the all-new Queensland Raceway. Hello, I'm Lee Diffie and welcome to round 7 of the Shell Championship Series. Well, the talking and the waiting is finally over, and here we are at Queensland Raceway. After 25 consecutive years of the championship being at Lakeside, Barry Sheen, it feels a little weird to be in Queensland and not at Lakeside.
It's lovely, isn't it? Proper toilets, nice buildings, it's all what we're not used to. It's great, fantastic facility, and I think the race circuit's going to really produce some close racing, and we've seen some action here so far. Poor old Glenn Seaton had a big major on, when was it, on Friday, wasn't it?
Friday afternoon. It wasn't the best start to the weekend for him, was it?
No, it wasn't. You see there, them just putting Glenn's car back on its wheels again, and it looked pretty spectacular. It's a bit like Monty Python, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Well, it was a bit of an unlucky start to the weekend for Glenn. Here's what he had to say about the incident.
Well, really, Mark, it just stepped out in turn 1, and I thought I was actually going in the gravel trap backwards, but it kept turning and swung around and bogged the front wheel in the turf, and over it went really slow. But it's probably not the way you want to start the weekend, that's for sure. But it was so soft that it didn't really hurt anything. It needs a screen, actually, and the outside skin of the turret's a bit wrinkled, but that'll be okay.
Taking a look at qualifying, and how about the Cat Ford of John Bowe? Unbelievable, almost half a second quicker than Russell Ingall's Castrol Commodore. A lot of people very pleased for JB to see him on that pole position. In fact, his first pole since Lakeside here in Queensland last year. Lowndes was in 3rd, Bright, Radisich back in 7th, and interestingly enough there, only 2 of the local drivers who have been testing here in that top 10. So it'll be an interesting day. And all the way back to Bargwana in 10th position. Well, it was a very happy John Bowe who joined Mark Osler for the Petters Pole interview.
Well, the experts predicted the new Queensland Raceway would spring a surprise, and it already has in qualifying, with John Bowe taking his first pole position since Lakeside in 1998. I think the Queenslanders like you. That was an extraordinary effort.
Thank you, mate. It's a credit to the guys in the CAT team. We've been working very hard to try and make the car quick here, and now we've got race day. Now we have to make it last. We've been having a bit of tyre graining problems, so that's our next thing to overcome. But I'm absolutely wrapped in the performance yesterday in qualifying. It's fantastic.
I think a lot of people would be amazed at that half a second gap you had over Russell Ingall. I mean, you don't talk about half a seconds in V8 supercars anymore. Where'd you find that time?
I don't know. I must have found a shortcut somewhere, but no. It's the car was just really nicely gripped up, and it was balanced very well. It's the first time we've achieved it since we got here, and you know, I managed to put a nice lap together before I speared off. So you know, it's how you want to do it all the time and very rarely do.
I guess we can expect a lot of action here today. I mean, that track is very tight, and the guys are expecting a lot of biff and barge. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with biff and barge, no, but I'm sure it'll be an action-packed race. It's quite a challenging little track. My main concern, obviously, is to try and stop the tyres graining, because when that happens, you haven't got any grip anymore and you go backwards. So.
Wish you all the best today.
Okay, thanks, mate.
Craig Lowndes carries a 148-point lead into this, the 7th round of the Shell Championship Series over Seaton and Bright. Ingle isn't too pleased at the moment about losing his top 3 position. And Garth Tander, not a bad effort for the older VS Commodore, in 6th position. We go outside the top 10. Perkins and Longhurst still battling for that 10th position. Johnson there in 12th. Radicic with a lot of work to do in 16th position. There's some big names further back than where they would like to be. Now, as always, to talk us through the finer points of each circuit, here's Neil Crompton.
Here's the inside line on the all-new Queensland Raceway. This is going to be a very interesting weekend for all of us. Other than the locally based V8 supercar contingent, the majority of the field has no information or data on this place at all. It's a slow to medium speed circuit, and the early indications are it's going to be pretty tough on brakes. It's super smooth, and the new track surface probably won't be too kind to our tyres. But with cooler winter temperatures and sufficient curing time, should ensure no problems with the track surface. The layout is simple, with 6 turns, a lap distance of 3.1 kilometres, and the direction of traffic is clockwise. Top speed is around 250 kilometres an hour on the back straight, and the slowest corners are turns 3 and 6 at just 75 kilometres per hour. What delivers time here? Well, the circuit characteristics are not unlike Winton, only there's a bit more pace involved. You're going to need a car that turns well in these slower corners and puts its power down effectively as you come off these corners. You're also going to need a car that stops well from high speed and gives you a good, hard, consistent brake pedal, because you're really going to use the stoppers around here. Passing spots. Queensland Raceway provides reasonable passing opportunities at turns 1, 3, 4 and 6. In summary, this layout will almost certainly guarantee bumper-to-bumper racing. And for the trackside audience, this circuit is visible from almost any vantage point, so the spectating is excellent.
Make sure you stay tuned to 10, because after the break, it's history in the making, the first ever race at Queensland Raceway.
I think probably the same opinion as a lot of people. It's very green at the moment, and the track is going to get faster and faster as more people go on it. Gets a little bit more rubber down, but I think all in all it's a very safe track.
I think it's great. I loved it. The car's going well there. The track's great. I think the spectators are really going to get good value for money because they can see everything. It's a very exciting track.
Well, I really like it, Mark. It's less than 100 k's from home, so that's good. No, good. It's a very technical circuit, very hard on the cars, and going to be very, very demanding for a 500k race. Really tough.
It's certainly going to be an interesting track. I mean, new track for everybody. It's got some very hard braking points. I think it's going to provide some very good racing. Should be a bit of biff and barge, I think.
It's quite good. All the pit facilities are quite good, and there's heaps of room there. And what they're doing a good job.
Well, for a new racetrack, it's very, very green, but it's getting faster and faster every time a car goes out. It obviously gets better and better. It'll be more than a one-lane racetrack. It'll certainly have a number of passing opportunities, and for the spectators, it's just going to be heaven because they can see the whole lot.
Welcome back to Queensland Raceway as the boys are on the grid for race 1 of 3, and it is history in the making here as they line up. But something special for the crowd today, and it was, well, you could say turning back time with some historic touring cars. Now, all of these cars are owned by David Bowden, who's a well-known motorsport enthusiast. Now, we've got the Coca-Cola Trans Am of Alan Moffat there, of course, David Bowden behind the wheel, and he is the owner. We've got Pete Gagan, 65 Ford Mustang, Peter Brock's HDT A9X Tirana, and the Brian Burt Ford Falcon GDHO Phase 3, and John French is behind the wheel of that. Kevin Bartlett, KB, is driving the Brock Tirana, and Ian Pete Gagan himself is driving the 65 Ford Mustang. So the crowd really enjoying that. As the V8 Supercars head off on their warm-up lap, it is time to check the grid, and John Bowe, just have a look at the time difference there, 0.44 of a second ahead of Ingle. Lowndes and Bright the second row, Tander and Skate the third row, and Radicic and Crompton the fourth.
Out of row 5, Glenn Seaton, who put the car on its lid on Friday. Jason Barguana alongside Paul Romano and Stephen Ellery, 2 Queenslanders out of row 6. Row 7, Dick Johnson and Stephen Richards. Dick Johnson, though, has pulled off before this formation lap. And 8 is Mark Larkham and Tony Longhurst in the 2 Fords.
Stephen Richards celebrating his 27th birthday today. Back in 17th, and top privateer Cameron McLean ahead of Rodney Forbes. So those 2 guys set for a good battle. Murphy way back in 19th. We go all the way back to Larry Perkins in his worst ever qualifying effort in any category that he has raced. So LP not so pleased this weekend, but did go okay in morning warm-up.
Dougal McDougall and David Truckee Parsons start at a row 13. 14 looks like this, Thomas Mazira and Paul Wheel, another 2 Queensland residents. 15, Wayne Wakefield making another run in the Metro Central Falcon. John Briggs alongside in the Super Cheap Autos Ford. Trevor Ashby and Mick Donaher will start out of row 16.
Back to Bob Thorne, Rod Nash. The 17th row, Smurden and Emma Osborne and Craig Harris, Brisbane resident who purchased last year's Bathurst winning car from the Stone Brothers outfit. Phil Ward and Mike Conway, row 20.
Yeah, the word is that DJ Dick Johnson's had a drive change of fate. That was the same as happened to Radish's remark, wasn't it?
Yeah, at Sandown we saw Paul basically rip the rear axle out of the Shell 18 Ford, and Dick Johnson just pulled off before this formation lap, so hopefully the same fate hasn't befallen Dick Johnson. But that's a great shame for Dick, because he was looking forward to...
And all the people.
Yeah, I mean, all the big Queensland crowd here.
The Bridgestone race analysis. There are 40 cars. That is a maximum grid here at Queensland Raceway. 3x17 lap races today, and first to 9th, 1.1 seconds. Now, that's not as close as what we've seen in some of the previous rounds this year, but it is going to be mayhem. That's the prediction. John Bowe starting from pole position. He wasn't overly pleased about that where it is. He said, obviously, I'm starting from the dirty side of the track, and I've got 2 of the best guys, 2 of the best starters in the game. Russell Ingall right beside me and Craig Lowndes right behind me. So that'll be interesting when they hit turn 1.
Tell you
Russell won't be shy at the first corner, will he?
Yeah, it should be quite explosive. Tell you what, the Fords have turned it around, though, in terms of statistics. The manufacturers battle, pole positions. Ford has now taken 4 poles to Holden's 3. But in race results, it really has been a landslide to the Holdens.
Very one-sided, but 5 of each in the top 10, so you couldn't ask for the equality factor to be any better than that. There's Rod Nash in the Auto Pro Commodore.
I tell you what, today is all going to be about looking after your tyres. You see that first right-hander, that's a double right-hander. Virtually every corner on the circuit is a right-hander apart from 2. Look at the amazing crowd. And to look after the near side front tyre, that's the front left-hand tyre, is going to get such a cane.
John Bowe.
And the left-hand rear too. The guys are saying that's one that really cops a load around here, so tyres could be a problem here today.
There's Mark Larkham. That's one of the shots that we'll have from the in-car cameras today, thanks to Mitre 10. We're not too far away from the start in race 1 here at Queensland Raceway. Will John Bowe build this into his first race win after getting his first pole of the 1999 series in the Cat Ford AUXR8? We're away, and Ingall has got away with a dynamic start. Ingall will hit the first turn ahead as the field swap down, and they sort themselves out. Now let's hope, fingers crossed, they get through here okay.
Well, good clean start so far as they swing through turn.
Oh, no, right in the middle there. Cameron McLean there, you see, on the yellow car, mayhem. They'll have to stop you. And Martin Oski's door came open there, his passenger side door. So look, on fire, Larry Perkins.
Yeah, we've got a fire there.
They've got to stop it.
Cameron McConville's out in the desert on the other side.
Look out for the red flags, because they're not going to clear that lot up by the time they come round.
Oh, Larry.
Oh, boy.
That's the price you pay not qualifying up the grid. You get caught back in that pack and anything can happen. Perkins has paid a big price. Look at the damage on the Castrol Commodore.
And there's Cameron McConville too in the Warwick Fabrics Commodore, and is stuck in the gravel trap. Well, we expected that there may be some hold-ups with cars going off the circuit, but never expected this in turn 1.
I've got to say, they can forget the safety car. You know, it doesn't make any sense to put the safety car out. They'd be better off to stop the race and clear that up properly, because the safety car is going to lead everybody through there. The poor guys are picking up all the rubbish off the circuit, and it's a right old mess down there. Looking out the commentary box, have a good look down there. It looks terrible.
We can see Lowndes and the others now weaving backwards and forwards across the track. There's Larry Perkins, gets out of the wrecked Castrol Commodore. He's been having a wretched weekend, Larry, struggling to get speed out of the car. And there's the Hot Wheels safety car on the track.
If we get a replay of this, you look at right at the back of it, the first one you see go round is, from this angle.
Rodney Forbes.
Forbes, and then Cameron McLean there, and then there's Larry right on the inside there.
Nowhere to go.
Well, no, absolutely nowhere to go. And, oh, Carnage City, look at that, like Trevor Ashby, there's everybody in there, aren't they?
Now that looked like McLean threw the car sideways to avoid contacting or...
No, he's on the grass on the inside.
Wow.
You see he got sort of squeezed on the grass, but looks at it, got it sideways.
No, he clipped Forbes as he came back on the track.
And then look, Martinoski there, Wallop, and then Larry, and...
McConville's out there in the sand.
Yeah, so Cameron McLean right out on the grass. Got back onto the racetrack, but all sorts of hell's broken loose. That's Dougal McDougall's Commodore, the ex-Wayne Gardner racing car. Beautifully presented car, but that's a great shame for Dougal McDougall because he has been caught up right in the middle of that incident. A lot of cars involved in that first corner carnage.
All right, well, we never expected turn one to be like that. We knew it was going to be action-packed, but quite a frantic start to the Queensland Raceway round of the V8 Supercars. We'll be back right after this. The mayhem in turn one here at Queensland Raceway.
It looks like Cameron McLean got sort of punted onto the grass on the inside. He came back and whacked Rodney Forbes. Then all hell broke loose. Larry Perkins had nowhere to go. Martinoski in there, Trevor Ashby, I mean, everybody in their auntie, really, and they've done a good job to clear it up.
Well, here we go. We are back under green after a couple of safety car laps, and Russell Ingall has got a handy jump. Look at that shot. That illustrates the point beautifully, and Craig Lowndes now starting to put the pressure on John Bowe.
Yeah, nice clean start. When they get out of the safety car, they're all in single file. So you can expect a nice clean run on the back straight for the first time. They swing hard through turn two. Up the back straight, Craig Lowndes in third position. John Bowe, the sensation of qualifying. 0.44 of a second faster than his closest pursuer, Russell Ingall. Really floored everyone with that time.
Look at Lowndes on the brakes. I tell you, it's all about the only place to pass. There really aren't any corners as such to pass. You know, you can't get around halfway around the corner. So it's on the inside, on the brakes on the inside, or as you're coming out of a corner, if somebody gets a bit of a bad run, you get a better run out of it and slipstream and just out of slipstream and past on the brakes. But it's not very easy to pass.
Handy margin for Russell Ingall at the moment. A little displeased about being pushed out of the top three in the championship. So a win in race one here will help his cause. But it's only about a car length. He's Lowndes all over the catboard of Bowe.
Yeah, he looks like he's in a hurry to get past. Hopefully...
Big, clear and simple onboard camera looking out under the wing of John Bowe's Cat Racing Ford as he cops plenty of heat from Craig Lowndes in the opening laps all over the back of the XR8. Just in behind them, Jason Bright. Now keep an eye on the Pertec Ford because he was the fastest man in the warm-up this morning. A 1:10.31, a sensational time. He's hanging onto the back.
He's just got a really good run out of watch Brighty, a really good run out of the right hand onto the straight, and not quite enough to get past, but it's a good run.
More than that, Mark, too, about the Bright being quickest in the warm-up this morning. He's probably done more laps around Queensland Raceway than anyone. I was talking to Jim Stone this morning. He said they've done probably in excess of 200 laps around here. They did the Tiga test day on the Sunday, the following Monday, and they were here last Saturday, so they certainly know the new Queensland Raceway. There's Garth Tander in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore, sitting back in around about 6th position.
Great circuit to see. We're sitting in the commentary box here. You can see every single corner. His cars going in every direction. A bit confusing sometimes, but a great place to look.
Yeah, it was interesting. The hot setup around this place seems to be to get the car down nice and low and set it up very stiff because the track's just fairly table flat and it's very, very smooth. So the attitude seems to be get the car set up really stiffly and drive it hard. John Bowe and Russell Ingall certainly got on top of the setups yesterday.
Oh, running wide there.
And Craig Lowndes has dialed the car in pretty well too. John Bowe, the wheel up on the curve as he defends from the flying Mobile Holt Racing Team Commodore. We're just through. Mark Noski is out. That's obviously due to damage sustained in that first corner incident. Tremendously close up front though. Ingall, Bowe, Lowndes and then Bright. Your top four are nice and close. There's your minor 10 lap count at top of screen. Skates a little further back, but these are your top three.
Get a good look at that. Now you watch how difficult it is to sort of get yourself in a position to pass. Now you watch here, Lowndes is getting a good run out of this. Right up behind Bowe. Bowe just starts to pull away again, and you watch probably Lowndes will catch on the brakes here, but there's no room to get past on the inside there.
John Bowe right on Russell Ingall now. This is great stuff. Early in race one, and the pole sit-up is proving that he's got the race pace, he's got the setup for the race as well.
Fastest man on the track so far, John Bow, 1:11.13. That's the fastest race time so far, indicated by the fact he's moving up behind Russell Ingall. We go on board looking up the front of the Cat 4 this time, but all angles covered. The Be Clear and Simple on-board camera. As Russell Ingall now defends the fastest man in qualifying. Ingall really thought he had his first Shell Series pole position yesterday. Absolutely dying moments. John Bow came flying through, put that scintillating lap in. Now he's really on fire here.
Oh, look at Lowndes, he really
Plenty of pressure from Craig Lowndes.
Well, something like the 5th time that Russell has had to accept second place, and the 2nd time this year. He said he was a little disappointed, but hey, starting from the front row wasn't too bad, and keep in mind that he was starting that nice clear position. Gave him the jump right from the word go, and he's been ahead of John Bow ever since that, who has handled the pressure from Lowndes quite well. A credit to the Cat 4 team, the Perth-based team. Kevin Otway, the principal sponsor, and the whole gang. Basically only really have one guy, and that's Phil Curtis, who's ex-DJR and ex-Longhurst, who's experienced. So they've done a great job in a short amount of time.
very difficult to pass, Mark. When you have a good look at it, it's just really, you can make all the motions, but somebody only has to. I was watching Russell, he was just sort of nicely in the middle of the road going into turn one, and that's the end of the story.
Well, the interesting thing is we saw the Privateers Cup battle yesterday, and it was an absolute ripper race. The guys were overtaking each other all over the place the first few laps, so the opportunities, the track's certainly wide enough, and there's enough classic opportunities when you're coming down the end of a fast straight into a slow corner, so you'd think that'd be a situation where passing would be encouraged, but it doesn't seem to be happening in the opening laps.
Well, you come up behind a bloke like John Bow. I mean, John's got enough experience on board to put it right in the right place at the right time, or the wrong time as far as the geese that's trying to get past. So it's, oh yes, talking Radicic.
So he's on the way up, so too are the Wins twins, Greg Murphy and Stephen Richards. Richards is up into 10th position now, and Greg Murphy has come from 19th to 12th. So they're finding some better performance in the race here today at Queensland Raceway, and Radicic now moves up into 7th position.
Well, a bit of a 3.9 second gap back to Radicic this battle. Ingall, Bow, Lowndes, Bright, Scaife, Tander. Tremendous battle. The lead as they come off the straight once again. Radicic.
The whole top 12 are lapping virtually identical, aren't they?
Yeah.
The slowest guy of the lot, the 12th guy is sort of 0.4 of a second slower, so it's pretty close.
So John Bow has dropped back a few car lengths now. Right up behind the back of the Castrol SLX car.
Here we go. Oh, yes! Side.
Yeah, nice one.
Slips up there into 2nd position, so Bow back to 3rd. It's all bunched up. Bright is still hanging in there. 4th, he's got Scaife right on him, and Garth Tander not too far behind Mark Scaife. This is up through the central part of the circuit into turn 4. The halfway mark around this 3.1 kilometre circuit. We'll see if John Bow can hang in there and stay with Craig Lowndes, or whether Lowndes will take the fight up to Russell Ingall. There's Mark Scaife in the number 2 Mobil 1 HRT Commodore. Now 5th in the championship, and a great Sandown round win.
It really didn't look like John Bow made a big fuss about trying to stop Lowndes and get past. So he, you know, if obviously Lowndes is going a lot quicker, we can see now in the next lap how much he pulls back on Russell Ingall.
It's going to be interesting to see who can make the tyres hang together too, because that left rear tyre costs such a pounding around here. It's not only topping a lot of cornering load, but it also has to deliver power to the ground as well, so it gets a real caning. John Bow was worried. He said, well, there's no problem getting a lot of speed out of the car in one lap. You just stiffen it up and drive it really hard. But said to make the tyres hang together for 3 20-minute races is a whole different challenge.
Well, that's what's going to be interesting when we come around to the 3rd race of the day, just to have a look and see who's been really conservative. You know, it's not the nicest thing where you have to sort of pussyfoot it a bit, but at the end of the day, it's when it pays off.
Now, Bright appears to be catching John Bow. This is the speed line on board the Caterpillar Ford AU XR8. John Bow there, you can see speed, and watch when the brakes are applied.
So Ingall, Lowndes, Bow, Bright in there too. Mark Scaife in 5th position, Tander in 6th.
Yeah, Tander's right up Scaife's spot.
That's your leading pack. There's a bit of
Tander. Yes.
And then there's about a 4.8 second gap back to Paul Radisich in 7th.
Gone.
So Tander up the inside, escape. So then he got picked up by Radisich the previous lap. He goes back inside the Mobile Holden Racing Team car.
Beautiful move, simple, inside, down into turn 1, and he's probably got about 3 or 4 car lengths on Scaife now.
Definitely going quick as he's come up really, he pulled away from Barguana. And he's on the trot.
Well, that last lap from Garth Tander was the quickest in this entire race at 11.00.
Oh, up the inside, Jason Bryce. Said to watch him.
It's all starting to happen now. Bright's made the move, Tander's made the move. So
Tander, look at that.
So he's found some speed, a little over the halfway distance in this race.
To go
Bell's coming back on the attack as they come through.
Oh, look at Tander trying to get on the inside now.
Great scrap between the Valvoline driver. He ducks back just inside out of turn 5. Another opportunity as they come up toward turn 6, but I don't think he's quite close enough. This could be what John Bauer was talking about. He was concerned about this graining he's been getting on his tyres and making the car go the distance. Well, it looks like he might be struggling for a little bit of speed now. He's getting swamped. 1:12.10 for Bauer that time around. Ingle at 1:11.6, Lowndes at 1:11.7. So Bauer.
Yeah, Tander passed.
And Tander back on the inside. So great scrap here.
And look at him, he's on the trot.
Very quick
look
through
at
this
that.
section of the
very,
track.
and this is so important. Get a good run out of this.
That's the most important corner
absolutely.
on the track, isn't it? It determines your terminal speed at the end of the longest straight.
John doesn't look happy.
This is hard work.
Look how much Tander pulled away.
Scaife looks like a quick glimpse of Scaife there. Did he get in? Yes, he did. So Scaife is past Bauer.
So the order now is Ingle, Lowndes, back to Bright in 3rd, and Garth Tander in 4th, who is on the move. He is definitely the fastest car on the circuit at the moment. Mark Scaife has not only passed John Bauer, but has now gapped him by about 3 or 4 car lengths. So unfortunately for the Cat Ford, John Bauer is going backwards.
I tell you, he's going very forward, very quickly. He's Radisich. He's lapping quicker, and he's catching. He's now catching John Bauer and the group in front. 13 to 20. So laps. He's got enough time.
Sole remaining Shell Helix Ford. Of course, Dick Johnson pulled out before the beginning of the race. So Radisich flying the flag for the Shell Ford team, as he did at Sandown with his first podium finish in the Shell Championship Series.
But he admits himself he's got to get to qualify this car better.
Yeah.
With top 14 or 15 cars coming on this second, you don't get in that leading 3 or 4 positions. You have to qualify very, very hard.
Russell is running away. Russell Ingle has left out, what, 2 seconds on now.
Here comes Radisich attacking the inside. Well, John Bauer is really struggling for speed here. Everyone's going past him. So Radisich up the inside after that fantastic performance in qualifying from John Bauer.
Well, John Bauer's doing the right thing. He's obviously got problems. You can see how much Radisich pulls away on acceleration. He's obviously got problems. He's not getting in anyone's way and just trying to nurse it home.
I wonder if he might have a brake problem too, because yesterday in...
don't think so. Looking at the way on the infield, he catches on the braking. I don't think so.
Well, this will be interesting here because Garth Tander, here he comes, right up on Jason Bright. This is down into the section leading onto the main straight. And this is where we've seen Tander make his previous 2 moves on Scaife and on Bauer. Now he'll tuck into the draft on the Pertec Ford. Watch Garth Tander in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore, the older VS. He won't have enough on Bright this time, though.
Washing through here, and if he's...
plenty of pressure.
How about that?
Up the inside.
Nice. That was good stuff.
Garth Tander, he is on fire. The 22-year-old West Australian driver, 1997 Australian Formula 4 champion.
That great place to pass there. I mean, that is not easy there at all.
Well, it just shows how well that car's performing, Bass. He can place it anywhere he likes on the circuit. Oh, up the inside.
Scaife having a look at Jason Bright after he saw Garth Tander attacking, so maybe Bright's running into some tyre problems. Word through from the Cat Ford pit is that, yes, it is. Bauer's tyres are shot, so that's why he is going backwards. Now, something's happened to Stephen Richards also. He's dropped from 10th back to 17th. His teammate Greg Murphy from 19th up to 11th, so they're doing well. Crompton 10th, Seaton 9th, Barguana 8th, then Bauer in 7th, Radisich. Then we pick up where we are now, the onboard camera with Mark Scaife and Jason Bright. This is the battle for 4th and 5th.
Tander is after Lounsey now. I tell you, he's so good onto the straights, Tander.
5 laps remaining in this one. Garth Tander on the attack.
Look at him covering his place.
Yeah, he can go anywhere he likes on this track. It's certainly not a single-lane racetrack. He's able to place that car anywhere he likes, and that fantastic manoeuvre on Bright last time through turn 2 shows just how much confidence the young driver has in that Valvoline machine. Look at him right up behind Lowndes.
There's no wonder why he's handling Lowndes. He was half a second quicker than Lowndes on that previous lap at 1:12.8 against a 1:12.3 for Garth Tander.
Tander is sensational on those two right-handers at the end of the start and finish straight. Tander is the fastest by far through those two. If you watch, if he doesn't manage to get, he's all over Lowndes. If he doesn't manage to get past, you watch him on the two right-handers at the end of the straight, especially the second part. He's totally amazing.
Two podium finishes for the 22-year-old Garth Tander this year at Eastern Creek, and then we saw him on the podium at Hidden Valley as well. Ironically, this is an ex-Mobil Holden Racing Team car that Bargwanna drove last year, and Bargwanna beat Lowndes at Calder Park in this car. So
just imagine Lowndes saying they should have put that thing in the crusher.
Right, now get a load of this. Watch on these two right-handers at the end. If he doesn't get him before, it's got him.
Side by side as they come across the start-finish line, building up to 230 kilometres an hour as they brake hard for turn 1. And Tander, an absolute sensation.
From 5th up into 2nd.
Look how quick he is. Look how much he's put out on Lowndes.
Well, it's not very often you see Craig Lowndes having to defend from someone coming faster from behind him. Well, you've just seen it. History in the making, the V8s on Queensland Raceway, and gee, don't see that happening. Craig Lowndes, he'll be pretty astonished as the Valvoline Commodore Garth Tander disappears off into the distance, braking hard at the end of the back straight, turn 3. So Tander is on fire.
And keeping in mind that with no history at this circuit, that the quickest guy in this race has set the existing lap record, and that is, of course, the Valvoline Cummins driver in Garth Tander, a 1:11.00.
I don't think he can possibly catch Russell. Russell now is nearly 4 seconds in front, so he's got a clear road in front of him. Well, having said that, he's just about to catch a back mark. But good drive from Ingle. I mean, he just did a runner, didn't he?
Yeah, got the jump and got himself ahead of Bow. I think he would have got past Bow anyway after John ran into those extreme tyre problems. Russell just checking something. He clicks over lap 18 of 20, winding down. So he starts to come through some of the back markers.
Another man on the move is Paul Radicic. He's just taken Jason Bright in that previous lap. So Radicic in the shell forward, moving up for a much better starting position in Heat 2.
Now, apparently word through from the Gary Rogers pit is that Gary Rogers himself is just overwhelmed because Tander isn't on new rubber yet. So they still have that to come for races 2 and 3. So wait to see what Garth Tander does later today.
Russell Engel, 3.1 seconds, the gap over Garth Tander. So Tander is closing the gap at 1:12.61 with a Valvoline driver.
He's escaping behind Jason Bright.
Helix replay.
Keeping her on the inside. Yes, good run out of that. See, just a slightly better run, and it just gives you that better run down the straight.
Well, Paul Radicic flying the flag, not only for the Ford drivers, but for the local drivers as well. That last lap around, Radicic is up into 5th. Bright is now back into 6th position.
Well, Bright might be struggling with the same problem that John Bow is with 2 laps remaining. They're frying their tyres up on this track. It's pretty hard work, particularly on that left rear tyre. If you don't have the setup right, you can really monster this rubber in a very short period of time. Looks like Bright is struggling like John Bow.
Top 10 at the moment: Ingle, Tander, Lowndes, Scaife, Radicic. Bright is 6th. Bargwanna, a good drive for 7th. Crompton 8th. Murphy 9th. So he's moved up ahead of Bow now, who's in 10th position. Mark Larkham 11th, and John Faulkner is in 12th.
Interesting watching Craig Lowndes coming onto the back straight through turn 2 there. He had look, he's got a lot of oversteer in the car. The rear of the car's coming out under power.
Oh, yeah, way.
It's costing him a lot of time. So maybe they've got the setup just right on the Mobil 1 Commodore. The boys are going to be working pretty hard on changing a few things in the brake, I'm sure, because I think a lot of people have been surprised how tough this track is on the rubber.
I tell you what I am surprised at, that Radicic's car is, I would have thought would have been a lot quicker. The HRT car just smoked him down the back straight.
1:12.9 for our race leader, Russell Engel. Garth Tander, a 1:13 that time around, so they're pretty close in performance, 3.3 seconds. So I think Russell Engel will have broken the back of this challenge. There's Garth Tander, a sensation this race. Word from the pits from Gary Rogers, he's still on
second-hand tyres, so we have a lot more speed to come.
And we're on our way home.
I don't know why he'd start a guy on second-hand tyres. We'll find that out during the break.
Thomas Mazera in the Dentatron VT Commodore, and Mike Conway there in the Falcon. And Russell Ingall has begun his final lap in this race that had a pretty frantic beginning. But since then, settled down nicely, and we've seen Garth Tander, this guy's teammate Jason Bargwanna in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore, the VT, his teammate Tander in the older VS model. And, well, if you're Gary Rogers, you wouldn't be in any hurry to get rid of the VS, would you?
Well,
the way it's performing.
Yeah, it's been a pretty tough job for Jason this year because he's had to take a back seat to his teammate because the VS is a proven product, whereas Jason's going out trying to develop the team's first in-house race car. So it's been a tough season for Barg so far.
Here we go, the Castrol SLX Commodore of Russell Ingall. He picked up 2 wins in Darwin. This will be his 3rd win in the Shell Championship Series of the year. Well done, Russell Ingall. He takes the opening race in Queensland and wins the very first V8 supercar race on this circuit. So he will be the first man in the history books.
Does he look pleased about that?
Oh, yeah.
Just a tad.
Just like Darwin. So some very memorable moments in his career. Russell Ingall. Garth Tander. What a drive for second. Terrific effort there. Russell Ingall, he got the jump as and didn't look back.
Oh, look at this. What a weekend he's turning out. Incredible. I mean, you don't see this from Glenn, do you?
Well, that's on the last lap. He hasn't made it to the line because Crompton has got there in 8th. He was up there. Murphy is 9th, Larkham 10th. So
what a nightmare weekend for Glenn. It's terrible.
That won't be pleasing.
Oh, Gearley, but hang on a second. Looks like the
1997 champ. As we check the final placings on your Shell Helix race score, of course, Ingall, Tander, Lowndes, Scaife worked well for 4th. Radicic was on the charge late. Bright, Bargwanna, and Crompton in 8th position. Where did John Bowe end up? Back in 11th position after starting from pole position. So hard luck for the Cat 4 driver, John Briggs. Todd Kelly, an excellent effort. John Briggs, privateer there, or rather not privateer, in 13th position in the Super Cheap Auto. So a good effort for him. Now, details for another great competition, a new Shell competition.